Da 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 da. Welcome to Disenfranchised. I'm Karen Bulinski Mathison of The Naked Grief, and this is Disenfranchised, where we dissect Friends episodes one at a time through the lens of grief, loss, and disenfranchised grief. Today is our season 1 wrap up. It's been one heck of a season. We've gotten to know the characters, we've gotten to see some of their grief experiences, coaching moments, and ways they've supported each other through so much. Season 1 isn't just a sitcom about dating, it's 6 people standing at the edge of their next chapter, figuring out what they want, what they've lost, what they're scared to admit, and what they're brave enough to go for. The real season 1 theme. Season 1 is about starting over. Grief is not always about death or starting over after a permanent loss. Sometimes after divorce, after betrayal, after disappointment, after leaving someone at the altar, after a dream that didn't happen on schedule, after realizing you're good at something you don't even like, after waking up one day and realizing you don't fit in the life you used to live. That's disenfranchised grief. It's grief people don't always recognize because you're still functioning. You're still showing up. You're still making jokes. But inside, something shifted. And you may be finding that it's time to pivot. So let's look at Rachel. Season 1, she's losing her certainty. Rachel starts the season running away from a life that looked right on paper. She's grieving certainty, identity, the version of herself that was planned out for her, and she's learning messily that freedom is exciting and terrifying. In this episode, we've watched her walk away from a relationship that was going to give her a lot of stability. We're watching her try and find her footing as getting a job for the first time as a waitress, and she's not real good at it. But her stick-to-itiveness and determination is huge, right? We've seen her struggle with dating again and choosing relationships, even if they're not the forevers. She's learning how to stand on her own and figure out what she really wants. And then we have Ross, who's losing the future that he thought he'd have. It starts the season with Ross, his first words, "Hi." It says it all in a nutshell. He's been beaten down. He's had a tremendous change that he didn't ask for. He's grieving a marriage. He's grieving her moving her stuff out. He's grieving the fact that she's already moved on. And then learns that he's about to become a dad with the now ex-wife. So even that sense of normalcy has shifted. He never gets to know what it's like to be a functioning parent in a household as a family. So it's not just the relationship, it's the future that he thought he was going to have. And then he's carrying something else too. Throughout season 1, we learn about him loving someone who feels out of reach. While he's also trying to pick up pieces, he adopts a monkey, wanting to try and fill the void of loneliness that Carol moving out left. And then he goes through the other grief of having to rehome the monkey and everything in between. We have watched Ross struggle time and time again in every episode. And he's like a weeble wobble. You can knock him down, but he keeps coming right back. And that willingness, that effort that he shows is inspiring. But not addressing these grief moments is why later on we see him screaming, "Pivot!" And then we have Monica, who's losing the timeline. Monica has been honest about what she wants throughout the season. And we see this in different episodes. We see her admitting that she wants to be a head chef. She wants to run a kitchen. She wants to create and design menus. When given the opportunity, though, the person that is offering her the opportunity is not who she wants to work for. She gets the chance, and it's kind of a letdown because it just doesn't work. The man is high and he wants to eat an off-brand version of Cheerios and throw gummy bears inside of the cereal and make mac and cheese because he's too impatient to wait for the crudité and the salmon mousse and the tartlets. And then at the end of the season, we see her longing for a baby, but she doesn't have the relationship. So it's Monica losing the timeline on the family, the baby, the career that feels like hers. And season 1 keeps showing her the same painful truth that a lot of us learn. Wanting it doesn't make it happen on your schedule. And that's grief too. The grief of the timeline that you thought you'd be on. And then we see Joey, who's gone through a lot. He starts the season as an out-of-work actor. He does the first play that Rachel goes to and gets himself an agent, which was a huge step in the right direction. And then he teeters throughout the season on ways to improve himself. Should I change my stage name? And Chandler convinces him to try Joseph Stalin as a joke because Joey, of course, doesn't realize the historical meaning behind it all. And Joey's chasing a dream that he keeps slipping on. Even when he gets the modeling gig that Thanksgiving as one of the healthy guys, his family doesn't want him at the table because they're afraid that him being on the poster is him being sick. He's trying to make acting work. He's trying to take things seriously, but nobody's taking him seriously, not all the time. He's trying to figure out who he is when the world doesn't clap for him yet. And that's grief, the gap between who you are and who you thought you'd be by now. And then we see Chandler, his career grief, losing his alignment. Chandler is good at something that he doesn't love. And that is such a specific kind of heartbreak because it forces a question most people avoid. If I'm good at this, but it doesn't make me feel alive, do I settle anyway? He has a temp job working with the Weenus, the weekly numbers something. And when offered a permanent position, instead of embracing it, he runs, he quits. He sets up time to spend with a career counselor, a go-go, and takes an aptitude test and sits for hours only to find out that the one thing that he's good at is the thing he just left. So he's faced with a huge decision and decides, that's what I'm going to do for now. It's great money. It's a great opportunity. He gets to be the boss man Bing. But even then, his identity shifts. And he struggles with all of the changes that his career decision makes. So season 1 keeps poking that nerve throughout it. And we see it replay throughout the series. It doesn't really reach another head again until he's with Monica. But we know that this is something that's bothering him. And then we take a look at Phoebe, the one who's already survived so much. And we really haven't uncovered Phoebe to her fullest yet. Season 1 just doesn't give her whole story. It gives us these casual blink and you miss it disclosures, like she's talking about the weather, about things that would break most people, about how her mom committed suicide and she doesn't talk to her twin sister. And then when she was living on the streets, the albino guy that she lived with, he committed suicide and now she's here. And wow, you talk about resilience. You talk about amazing follow through and persistence to get to where she's at, where she's now living with grandma and she's got a roof over her head and she's got a job and she's doing something she loves by playing music at the coffee house in her free time and hanging out with her friends. And choosing who will fit in her circle and never settling for less. She's the one who shows up with the perfect lines at the perfect time. She's the empath and grief coach without ever really having a label for it. Phoebe doesn't give advice like someone who read a book. She gives advice like someone who had to survive. And maybe that's why she doesn't settle. Maybe that's why she can be weird and light and flighty on the surface, because when you've lived through enough, you stop pretending that the small stuff is life or death. Season 1 ends with Rachel realizing what she wants in a relationship and having to be brave enough to go for it, but also realizing what she wants in a career. She's got the friends group helping her send out resumes. She's going on interviews. She's trying to do those next big moves for herself. And right when she's ready on the relationship side, life does what it does. Timing. That's where disenfranchised grief lives, not just in death, in timing, in missed moments, in the life you pictured that doesn't happen the way you planned. Season 2 airs March 6th, Friday, at 3 p.m. And on March 7th, I'll be doing a Facebook Live with the Friends Experience in Las Vegas, baby! So be on the lookout for that. If you've been listening along, thank you, truly. If this podcast helps you name something you've been carrying, something you didn't even have words for, that's the whole point. If you haven't yet, like and follow on YouTube so you don't miss Season 2. And if any of this hits you in a personal way, if you recognized your own disenfranchised grief, explore support at thenakedgrief.com. You're not broken, you're human. And again, The Naked Grief will be live at the Friends Experience, the one in Vegas, on March 7th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Well, that's what time I get in. In order to see this, though, you got to like and follow The Naked Grief on Facebook to view the event. I look forward to seeing you show up for Season 2 and tuning in while I'm live in Vegas, baby. Da 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 da.